Hi, everybody. It's been far too long since I posted one of these. I was lucky enough to run this awesome detective search a few weekends ago. This was a trial put on by the Scentwork Club of the San Gabriel Foothills. It was held at Azusa University. I was judging that weekend, and so I was able to run Iona in this detective search. This was the judge is Alex Woodruff, and she did a tremendous job here. This has got to be one of our favorite searches of all time. Just really well placed hides, really thoughtful, nice blank areas, some puzzles, and here we are. So here we are at the start line. You can see I'm setting my watch. So we go right in, and Iona goes right out of bounds. So I ask Alex, "Is this out of bounds?" And she's like, "Yeah," but you can see what she was doing. She was in odor, so she gets right to this first hide in like 19 seconds. I mean, it's really crazy. So this is what your dog does when there's odor in the room. Now compare this to the rest of this room. This search area was very cool. It was like two big interior rooms, and then one patio. So my strategy going into this was to, make sure that I cleared each room and that I didn't have to go back because they're fairly big rooms. I didn't want to go back through them all. And you can see Iona searching really nicely here. She's really calm and collected. I send her back down these tables because I'm like, well, if I clear these, I'm done. So I move on into the second room. So you can see right there, that nice crisp change of behavior and an alert, beautiful alert from Iona right there, no questions. Right here, she's getting into some mushy odor. So when I came up to the start line, Alex had warned me. She said, "Don't call alert on those doors." And so I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm clarifying to her, and I'm like, "Hey, are these the doors?" So if you're ever in a search and you have a question for the judge, talk to them. I mean, don't ever say, "Should I call alert here?" Because you just called alert. Anytime you say the word alert or finish, it will count. But you can say something like, "Is this in bounds? Is this out of bounds?" And they'll either tell you or they won't, but it's worth asking them. So I'm understanding now Iona is in some pooling odor that's being sucked under the doors, and I'm like, I gotta get her out of here. So, you can see she's in a tiny bit of odor right there, but doesn't stick around for it. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I gotta go back there and check if she doesn't alert over here. She goes down this row of chairs and doesn't find anything, so I'm like, okay, sweet, those chairs are all done. You can see she starts to get into that same scent cone under this door. And so that's why, understanding scent theory is so important so that you can kind of see what your dog is doing in real time and start to read them. So you can see all these changes of behavior. They're not very crisp, right? She's telling me there's odor here. I don't know where it's coming from. And again, I take her out of there. This time when I come back to this section, I'm going to direct her a little bit. Watch this. I get her into that corner. She's able to work along the edge of those drawers and find that hide right there. So I did do a little directing there. It worked great. So sometimes it is something you have to do. Again, I direct her right here, send her down this row of chairs, but as soon as she gets in front of me, she takes the lead. So I'm pretty clear right now that this room, there are no more hides in here. So we're going to go outside. This was a hot day. Maybe it got up to like the 90s. And so, it was hot out here, but the odor was all accessible. You can see right there she's in a scent cone and then goes over to a second scent cone to alert on that wall. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I got to go back to that first scent cone by those tables and chairs. This is great. You can see she goes right along that wall and clears this whole area. So I'm thinking I don't have to go back to here. But she does get right back into the scent cone. In a second, you'll see that she shows this really characteristic behavior for when it's a crack hide. Right there, you can see she goes underneath the table and chairs, keeping her nose to the ground, and boom, alert. So those are really important hides to practice. You don't see them that often in trials, but when you do see them, I've seen them in detectives trials. Here she gets right into another scent cone, and this one is pretty tricky, maybe the trickiest of the bunch. You can see her catching some odor off that chair. She's finding the edges of this scent cone, and look where it takes her. It's kind of interesting. She ends up back, there's this fountain back there, and there's this tree in that corner. So if we look at that, like this is the coolest, this is the dampest section of this whole patio. And we know that odor sticks in areas that are damp and that are cool. And so she's working out for herself, like what's going on in here, right? There's a bunch of odor here. I ask Alex at this point, I say, is this off limits? And she says, not necessarily. And I'm like, not necessarily. But, it's good to ask. So she gets out of odor, comes back into odor, works it back, gets a different line on it, and then is able to find that hide. So in my mind, pretty much cleared everything. So we just have one little section left to clear, and you'll see me direct her into that area right here. It's this corner right here that we have not cleared. I get her deep into that corner, and then as she comes along here, I'm very sure that we're finished. Call finish, and luckily that was it. We got first place in the search. It was just amazing. Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Penny, for putting everything on. Thank you to the Scentwork Club of San Gabriel Foothills.